Hello and welcome to the February 2020 edition of Let Them Eat Kek. That still sounds really strange saying that. I'm Cog and I am joined by co-hosts Kevin Logan and Mike Stuckbury. Kevin, how are you doing?
So far, I'm still alive. I haven't been trampled to death in a toilet roll-based stampede fiasco, but you never know. But other than that, yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Give us some time. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I've stocked up on toilet. I haven't stocked up on toilet roll. But I'm now feeling like I should have. Mike, are you stocked up on toilet roll?
No, we're all dead. We're all dead. All of us. We're dead. We're fine.
Good. Yeah. I mean, that was the impression I got when from German news. The little German news that I read was everybody just died over there. Yes, we are hopefully going to be joined by.
Can we blame Angela Merkel? I think we need to blame Angela Merkel for no reason.
Yes,
she did come out and say that 60% of the German population could potentially get the coronavirus, which was I don't know whether her health minister actually wanted her to say that, but there was a little bit of panicking associated with that.
Yeah, it's not great odds, is it? When you're thinking, it's a small percentage, 60.
That's 70, isn't it? I thought it was somewhere between 60 and 70%.
Somewhere between 60 and 70, yes, which translates to which the deaths would be in the hundreds of thousands. But okay, yeah.
Yes.
Whatever. Okay.
So we've got that to look forward to. However, Angela Merkel is not our special guest, who will hopefully be joining us a little bit later.
You call yourself a student of German.
Angela Merkel is not our special guest. Our special guest today is hopefully going to be Lily Madigan, who is experiencing some technical difficulties with her microphone and audio equipment. But I'm hoping
she has not been the Chancellor of Germany for 13 years. Yet.
No. So we're not going to be too harsh on her for
we'll take anybody over here. Seriously, anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to be Chancellor. Please, put a CV to the Bundestag.
Yeah, who wants to take it now, though? You're just about to have to bury hundreds of thousands of your citizens. You're not going to be remembered well, regardless of how good a job you do. So,
yes, well, I was thinking of re-establishing the Kingdom of Württemberg when this is all over.
So, yes, but hopefully Lily will be joining us fairly shortly. I am in conversation with her as we speak on Twitter, yes, she's just agreed to hop on her phone and try and use her phone to get on with us.
Good.
We will hopefully have Lily on.
I'll see your Württemberg and I'll raise you a Confederation of the Rhine. I'm going Napoleonic on you.
Okay, yes. I mean, I was in Heidelberg the other day. You should have gone for the Palatinate.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Why do I hang out with these nerds? What is going on? Why do I hang out with these utter nerds? Right. So, yes.
Represent.
Our first topic of discussion is going to be CPAC 2020. There's the Conservative. What is it, Kev? Is it Conservative Policy Action Conference?
I believe so. Yes.
Yes, Conservative Policy Action Conference, where America's far right meet up to discuss how they can best move forward with their far right policies.
Or as I like to call it, even in a year that hasn't got a pandemic, the cradle of contagion.
Yes, the cradle of contagion, indeed. Thank you very much for that comment, Kevin. And if you're wondering what I mean by that comment, I mean that comment. Thank you for my host for being as mature as ever.
So we are talking about CPAC, a room full of fucking pricks. So it's appropriate.
We are. I can see how that would seem. Would seem appropriate. Yes. However, even they have limits because apparently they kicked out Gavin McInnes. I don't know exactly. Yes, yeah. He was kicked out for threatening another member. I believe he threatened to assault another member of the CPAC organisation, and so they chucked him out. So let no one say they don't have their standards. However,
but didn't they also ban Mitt Romney because he dared to vote against Trump?
yes, I never said their standards were good.
Yeah.
Well, I think Mitt Romney's actually come out of this pretty well now because he's the one who is like he's safe. He's clear.
He's the presidential candidate in November as the only conservative who isn't coronavirus.
Yes,
point,
and
so.
Interestingly,
debilitated or dead.
It's funny you should mention Mitt Romney because Charlie Kirk, the owner of the world's second largest ego but first smallest face, had a few words to say about Mitt Romney. Let's see if we can show you this. So this is Charlie Kirk on Mitt Romney.
The Republican Party of Mitt Romney. Correct answer, by the way. Correct. Every time his name is mentioned, you should respond that way. Because he loved the person in this room that knocked on doors for him, that made phone calls for him, that donated his campaign.
Have you ever seen such a small face be so angry?
I was thinking that his head was getting more spherical as the video progressed.
Well, let's keep an eye on it. I'm not sure. Maybe he's morphing.
Because we thought that he was going to be a crusader against the Marxist president that preceded Donald Trump.
Apparently, Obama was a Marxist, which, I don't know if you've spoken to any Marxists about that.
Not just that, we all know his posturing is bullshit because the clip came out of him being interviewed before Donald Trump became the nominee in 2016.
Yes.
And Charlie Kirk was a Trumper. So he's, but he knows his grift, to be fair.
Yeah. He knows where the cash is. Yeah.
Mm.
What else did he say? I can't. Okay, the link has stopped. Of course it has, because we went on air, and therefore the link had to stop. Oh, there we go.
And now he asks and he begs for the endorsement of Donald Trump for the Senate in Utah. And then he goes and votes for that sham, unconstitutional impeachment.
So, yeah, whining, infighting. Basically, there's CPACs carrying on as usual. Apparently, Alex Jones was also there, which I wasn't expecting. Do you know anything about that?
Nope. I know he got DWI. I know that.
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
That's March. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Oh,
no, sorry.
Yes,
sorry,
yeah,
no, sorry. Spoilers. Spoilers.
On track. Yeah, spoilers.
That did happen, which is funny. I mean, why is the deep state forcing him to be an irresponsible prick who gets drunk and drives? I mean, it's outrageous. They're treating that man like a fool.
Yes. Lily is having problems. I believe she's doing an Apple. She's having trouble with Apple. So I'm going to send Lily a message in a bit if she's watching. Obviously, won't have to, but I'm going to suggest that she comes on the next show once we've got the technical problems sorted, and we just carry on with this one
beforehand. Yeah,
as usual.
Orion's just
no. It's not technical problems. Let's be clear here. It's not technical problems. It's the deep state working against us.
Yes, it is. Of course, it is the deep state,
the shadowy cabal of globalists to down.
Working with the Marxists and the Islamists. It's true because I saw it on a mind map that Glenn Beck drew me. They're all working together against the program. Sorry, Kev.
But I was just going to say, Orion Cooper's absolutely killed it in the chat here. Charlie Kirk on Mitt Romney has to be the absolute worst Pornhub search ever.
Yes, I'd have to agree. Please,
honest, if
do not
if
quote
that footage existed, just like rubbernecking at a car crash, I'd have to watch it.
Considering the history of Republican scandals, I'm surprised that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Imagine the money shot onto that tiny little place. It'd be amazing.
Oh God, Kev. Oh God. Okay, so moving rather swiftly on from that let's call it a channel banning comment. Moving rather swiftly on from that, there was
Who
also,
wants to be monetized anyway? Really?
exactly,
Come on.
who wants to be monetized anyway? Not a poor student. Okay, moving swiftly on from that, we also had to take in this informative history lesson from Paul Maguire, who I believe this is at CPAC, was giving this speech. It is truly, I think you'll
by the way,
you'll agree, is truly something special. So we are all here students of history. Mike is a historian. I'm a history master's student. Kevin did his undergraduate degree in history and politics. And
he has a new channel.
Yes.
I do, which I was hoping to have a video out on today, but my editing software decided to be a massive dick.
Yes,
So,
History with
but,
Kev.
yeah,
Please go and subscribe. I'll put a link in the chat later on so that people can go across and subscribe if they have not already. Although why they wouldn't have, I don't know. So, but we are all about to learn here. Learn something really quite special, I think. Oh, come on, play.
the relationship between communism and
Here we go. Come on, play ball. Please play ball.
the relationship between communism and the Illuminati. And by
Why?
is a
What?
Yes.
is a total mirror copy of the Illuminati occult manifesto that was published on.
Oh, come on. Technical difficulties. I apologize. I think it's because
Oh, Jesus. I mean, this is something I know something about, which is
100 years earlier.
communism
That
as a...
tells you there's a relationship between
Wow.
communism and the Illuminati. And by the way, Karl Marx, the author of the Communist Manifesto, was a practicing Satanist.
No, he wasn't
I'm
practicing.
just-
He wasn't practicing. He'd perfected it. Okay?
He'd perfected exactly. He wasn't practicing. He perfected it.
They didn't tell you that in school.
No, funnily enough, they don't. They don't tell you that in school. It's funny that, isn't it?
They don't. Yeah. Okay, so the actual Illuminati was founded in Munich in the late 18th century. Okay, so they're saying that the Communist Party was founded a century later, was it? Really? Okay. I mean, well,
that's
Yes.
that's second only to my favourite piece of Alex Jones nonsense, where he claimed that the CIA, the CIA had put Mao into power as a precursor to then putting Hitler in power.
Wow, that is
Jeez.
quite a conspiracy. Especially,
Yeah.
if you know your
I didn't
historical
know the CIA
timeline.
could time travel. That
Yeah,
was the thing. Yeah.
yeah, that's incredibly impressive. Yes, so I think that's it with regards to CPAC. So we'll go on to a topic which we'll briefly cover, not so much because obviously we're hoping to have Lily on, but of course, if we get Lily on next week, we can cover it in more. No, not next week. Next month, we can cover transphobia in more detail. But in the meantime, just this little clip of Graham Linehan, which we have to cover because I think it's really quite important that we see what Graham Linehan decided to go on BBC Newsnight to say. I think you all know what's coming if I can find it.
Before we even start, I think it's worth mentioning what the fuck are the BBC even doing interviewing this gobshite? He's not an expert in trans issues at all.
Absolutely. Not a trans person.
This is the same network that decided to interview Nigel Farage about the coronavirus.
About coronavirus.
A man who did not complete high school, it should be borne in mind.
Yes.
Yes.
Probably could not. Excuse me, I'm not playing.
Again, I'm not having a go at people who don't finish high school. I'm just saying we need medical experts to talk about medical shit.
Yes.
Random blood hards from the hard right.
Yes. A global threat does not need somebody who didn't finish high school to.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
You'll be surprised to hear Farage's solution was closing the borders, as it is to everything.
Oh, madness.
Is there any problem he doesn't think that's a solution to?
Yes, I can't think of anything that he probably wouldn't propose it as a solution to. And here is Graham Linehan, equally out of his depth, talking about trans issues. Let's have it.
Has stepping in made the debate any better? I mean, a lot of people say that the language you've used, some of the dismissive terms that you've bandied about have actually increased the toxicity of this debate.
Can you give me an example?
Yes, you can. Yeah, I'll give you several if you want. So what about comparing people in the trans debate to speaking out against Nazis? I mean, that's pretty extreme.
Well, there's a couple of parallels. One is that at the moment, children are basically being experimented on with puberty blockers. For instance,
come on, you're not seriously trying to say that children going to the doctor and saying that they're worried about their gender is akin to children being experimented on in Nazi concentration camps?
I'm afraid I am, because Lupron, which is...
We don't need to hear a pseudoscientific crap. Graham Linehan does not know what he's talking about with regards to these issues. Please look at an expert. But yes, so that...
Well, if you want a thorough breakdown of the nonsense, go watch Essence of Thought's video exposing the scientifically and culturally illiterate garbage that Graham spews and the lies that he tells about the people who supposedly are the whistleblowers.
Yes.
That's over on the channel.
Yes, absolutely. I thoroughly recommend Essence of Thought, who is under Essence of Tweet on Twitter. And yes, is running several good campaigns, which Kevin is involved in. Yeah, so with Graham Linehan, we had that. We're only briefly going over the transphobia issues because obviously we don't have the person who we hoped we'd have on to speak about that. And obviously we're three cis men, so we don't want to comment too much, other than to condemn. And equally to condemn, this is what Dave Rubin, that was it, Dave Rubin put out this tweet. So this is a tweet from Dave Rubin, which says, yes, watching the intersectionals destroy themselves is something else. Imagine calling yourself a feminist and being for this. So it's...
Firstly, I like the phrase intersectionals.
Yes.
That's a new one.
Intersectionals.
That's
Yes.
that's the next Marvel Cinematic Universe film coming out next year.
Yes. So would either of you like to tell me what's wrong with this image and why we're bringing it up, if you can remember?
Isn't that that's a trans male who's, because of transphobic nonsense, being forced to compete against women?
Yes, this the blonde person holding the other person in a headlock here is a trans man, i.e., a man who used to be a woman who is being forced to fight alongside other women, or I say other women, not other. Is being forced to fight alongside women because of transphobic nonsense and transphobic rules in the wrestling community. And Dave Rubin thinks that this is a man, a trans woman, fighting a cis woman when it is not. And I think it was Katie Montgomery pointed this out, who is a trans woman herself. I'd like to bring her in just as a trans voice so that we're not, so that we have some, at least amplify Katie's voice if we can't have Lily on. There's a picture of a trans man born a girl who wants to compete with men. Idiot cis people like you won't let him, so he wins, obviously. That picture is an argument for trans rights in sports, but it's scary looking, and that's the real use of it. And that's the real point, is lots of transphobia based on fear. The trans man male competitor's name is Mac Beggs, if you want to look him up. Yes, and he's within his rights to take part in sports, but should really be competing against men, as he is a trans man. So
the emotional nonsense of having a picture of wrestlers doing wrestling stuff, it's wrestling. That's what's going to happen. You get people in holes and things. Like it's just so manipulative.
So outrageously violent, Kev. So outrageously violent. Is this the intolerant left in action? I think it is. Wrestling, I can't imagine such a thing. So then, yes, we were going to have a look at Tim Pool, and I particularly want to see you guys, unless you've got any more reaction to this stuff. Yes. Oh, Tim.
Let me just check. Has he still got the beanie?
Oh, yes. Have you seen him without the beanie?
Sorry, you had me scared there. I thought that was the news. Apologies. Hello, John. Oh, it's the Open Borders crew. We're a crew now. The Open Borders crew. Represent.
Recreational outrage lecturer Stuckbury in the house, I see. You're a recreational outrage lecturer. I'll have you know he's a professional outrage lecturer. Yes.
I paid my fucking dues, John.
I do love a heckler. Anyway, speaking of people who don't know what they're talking about and blame everybody else for all their problems, let's have a look at Tim Pool. So, yes, this is Tim Pool speaking about why he doesn't have children or isn't in a relationship. This is truly something beautiful, and I've done a video on this. If you guys want to go check it out, please do.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Thank you. I didn't know you'd seen it, Mike.
Yeah,
superb.
I just hadn't said.
Excellent. And yeah, so this was what Tim Pool said.
I can't possibly have babies because of climate change.
Tim Pool didn't say that.
Right, which is nonsense.
No.
But I do think it's crazy that I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you know what the problem is, though? It's definitely not me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's everybody else.
Yeah.
Also, Tim, you're indoors. You don't need a fucking hat.
What the fuck?
Stop. We know you're fine.
Oh,
Fuck.
my goodness. Yeah. Oh, Tim.
It's definitely not me. It's everyone else. Like,
Yes.
He's not. You're saying the quite a bit loud again, Tim. You're supposed to at least try some sort of rationale.
Oh, yes. The
in January with talking of the coronavirus, he came out with his nonsense about you're going to be glad that Trump built the wall, as if people aren't flying into America.
Yes.
Don't you know going to do anything?
Don't you know that highly contagious, dangerous viruses, to be exact, cannot scale. You know, it's not even a wall, is it? Really, it's just a series of steel, not sharp. You could squeeze through it if you were, young enough. I think
you could just, if someone with coronavirus on the other side, just breathe through the gaps in the slats.
Mm.
That's what you're going to do, and you've got past its only possible why it could possibly have any impact at all.
Yes, Mithril correctly points out this is a very incel argument. It's not me, it's them. But also, I like the fact that Tim Pool with the wall thing, he's sort of hedging his bets that migrants have never heard of a ladder. Migrants infected with coronavirus have never heard of a ladder. Because, of course, yeah.
Not just that, there are way more cases.
What's the thing? Like, what do we think about Tim Pool? Like, here's the thing. Back in the beginning, back during Occupy Wall Street, he wasn't this much of a dumb bastard. And there are times when it's obvious that he knows that what he's saying is partly dumb as shit, but he still doubles down on it. So what? Has someone got something on him? Is he trying to bang some particular female talking head in the reactionary dickhead sphere? Like, what's the thing? Why does he insist? Even though because he didn't used to be. He never used to be that. He never used to be that shit. Like in the beginning.
But I think
I
he's
was
worked
watching
his
this thing.
where he earns his money.
Really? Is that it? Because
Sorry?
he just gets dunked on mercilessly. Nobody takes him seriously.
Yes, yeah.
Like, I don't think he's.
Well, he's clearly had he earns enough to survive, and I think he's happy with that. I think he's just a grift. That's all he is. I think.
I mean, I think he's earned more than enough to survive. So I mean,
I think he wants to be a thing. He wanted to be. Yeah.
Yeah, he
If he was smart.
I think he realised that journalism is difficult, so he's just gone down this path instead.
Yeah, I think he I think he. Well, I can't say how much he's earning exactly, but I know because I know audio equipment a lot better now than I used to. I know that the equipment that he uses in his studio is like far more than just than sort of amateur
Professional stuff.
Yeah, and it's very expensive to do what he does, and even to hang out with the crowds that he hangs out with. Yeah. So, shall we? I think that was it on Tim Pool. We were just gonna cover that and his general grifting. So, I think the next topic we wanted to cover was free speech. Now, as you may or may not know, a boiled egg and a miniature fascist and friend of the show, Tommy Robinson, and by boiled egg I mean Toby Young, have set up their own free speech organisations within a week of each other. Toby Young, of course, coming first, and Tommy Robinson coming second, because if anybody's going to grift off anybody else, it'll be Tommy Robinson grifting off another grifter. So, shall we have a look at Toby Young's the launch of Toby Young's Free Speech Club?
Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you for the input, Kev.
Well, you asked a question and I gave you an answer.
I did.
I
just needed to fill the gap. And you did it perfectly. So that's superb. Yes. So here is Toby Young talking about this is why we need freespeechunion.org. It's really quite something.
If you think you're safe because you're a woman or a member of the progressive left, think again. The list of people who've been no-platformed, prevented from speaking in public by self-appointed morality cops who spend their lives frantically searching for things to be offended by, includes the radical feminist Julie Bindel,
transphobe,
the Woman's Hour presenter Jenny Murray, and
transphobe
Germaine Greer, author of
transphobe. I'm sensing a pattern. Yes, sorry, I didn't mean to walk over the beginning of his little speech, but I feel like it's worth drawing a distinction at this point. We can agree there's a difference between attacking someone's free speech and no platforming. No platforming. There's a big difference between free speech and platform, right?
Well, I wonder if in his free speech union he'll allow hardcore Nazis, or is he going to no platform them?
Tommy Robinson has applied, and I think Toby Young has said that they're going to let him in. Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Can I just say? That if you hadn't told me that was Toby, and if I wasn't looking at the video, I would have thought that was a Chris Morris bit. I would have thought that was something from Brass Eye. The delivery was straight out of Brass Eye.
Oh yeah. Yes.
For three people who watched Brass Eye back in the day.
It's yes.
Yeah. Amazing show. There's also a touch of the Alan Partridge in the delivery as well. There's a touch of the kind of idiot.
If you have, like the audience, if to those three people watching, no, that's more than three people. But if you haven't seen Brass Eye, try to find it on a streaming service. It will change your life.
It will.
Yes. But yes, the point I would drive home is there's a big difference between someone's right to free speech and their right to a platform. You don't always have the right to a platform, and no platforming somebody is not the same as taking away their free speech. Taking away someone's free speech is saying, if you say this, I will shoot you. Taking away their platform is saying you can't say this stuff on my show or in my lecture theatre.
Well, it's a point we've made about these people for a long time, and it's certainly true. And it's summed up by the fact that this isn't called the Free Platform Union. This is called the Free Speech Union.
Yes.
And I don't understand what free speech is.
Yes. Yes. They have no idea what they're talking about. And we could carry on watching Toby Young. Should we? Let's watch a bit more.
The female eunuch. No one is safe from these witch-finder generals, which is why mavericks and dissenters of all stripes will be welcome in the Free Speech Union.
A maverick.
A maverick.
I would say anchor, but maverick works, I suppose.
As a
wise man once said, I may disagree profoundly with what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it.
Oh, these motherfuckers annoy me so much. I know I'm trying not to swear so much on someone else's channel, but when they quote Voltaire there, they forget that Voltaire didn't really sort of believe that, I don't think. And these motherfuckers definitely don't. I defy them to actually, if it came to it, to defend with their life my right to speak. Fuck off, would you?
Yeah.
And that's fine. I don't expect them to. But it's just bollocks. Stop lying.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, I may disagree with what you say, but I will defend. It's like, I may disagree with what you say, but he will defend to the death your right to grift for gullible right wingers out of their cash that they earned on their minimum wage job. Like, he will defend to the death your right to do that. And by the way, I thought it's well worth adding, it's not actually a free speech union, because of course the thing about free speech is it's what's the term? Fucking free. It's free. Whereas this thing that Toby Young has set up, you have to pay for, and you have to pay some astonishing amounts. And depending on how much you pay, you get different benefits. So
all I'm saying is, right, just to the people who designed this website, that symbolism could be taken one of two ways. Either you're being silenced, or this is a BDSM thing.
I mean, there's a lot of free speech things that are like that. Do you remember the masking tape video that the fascists did a few years ago?
I do, and I remember Stefan Molyneux looking very menacing. I was terrified.
Yes, and everybody was sharing it and going, "This is the worst remake of 50 Shades of Grey that I've ever seen."
That event you mentioned, that was advertising Tommy Robinson's free speech bullshit. I remember him getting on a stage that he'd been allowed to erect outside Downing Street with a microphone and all the rest of it, saying he was being silenced.
Oh,
you took this. What are you talking about, you fucking mad bastards?
I know.
Anyway.
Utterly ridiculous. Yes, but for £250, you get the regular meetings with directors, a sword and shield. You get a sword and shield.
Why not just go and buy a sword and shield?
Yeah.
That's what you want, you know.
Why? Why would you get a sword? It's supposed to be about free speech, not like medieval reenactment. And legal and free tickets.
Also, 250 quid. That's, I mean, how much is that in American? Like about $350, $400?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Fuck.
Yeah. But also, what legal and free tickets, like, aren't they supposed to be legal? But isn't this all supposed to be legal?
If you're paying for them, they're not free.
Yes. Oh, I see. Sorry, that's legal representation. So the students don't get legal representation. Ironically, the people who this is set up to defend, you don't get legal representation because you're student retirees and overseas.
Look, the poor people don't deserve anything. Do you not realise this?
This is exactly it. They're claiming liberal principles, got absolutely no liberal principles other than the fact that they want to speak. It's unbelievable.
He may disagree with what you say, but for a set amount of money, he will pretend to defend your right to say it.
Exactly. We have it, I think, locked down. Yeah, Mike, any thoughts? Would you pay £250 for this?
Fuck
Mike?
no. No, I would not.
Good.
I would not pay. I'm not allowed to swear anymore.
I thought we'd lost you for a second.
Would you join that if they paid
God,
you?
no, I would not.
Cool. That's good.
If they paid me money, 250. What? Like how much? How much we talking here? Would I join them for 500? No. Would I join them for 5,000? No. Would I join them for 50,000? No. Actually, no. I wouldn't join them for any amount because they're a bunch of pricks. I don't want to be any member of
I'm a student, so I'd consider it for 50,000. I could pay off most of my student loans for 50,000.
Exactly. We get to 50 grand, and then maybe, you know.
Yeah.
Then what do I have to do? Do I have to attend meetings? I'm not sure. You know.
If they truly believe in freedom, they can't make you do anything once you've joined their little, their little freedom club. So that is that. But as I mentioned before, a few days later, after Toby Young set this up, Tommy Robinson, old friend of the show, decided
Tommy was not going to miss out on this opportunity. He was thinking, if he's charging $250, I can do fucking pound store rate version of it.
Yes. And and so Politicalite put out a very confused video that makes very little sense.
It's a confused video and a confused name.
Yes, it is. They are overall very confused. Politicalite UK. Wouldn't recommend following them on Twitter, but they usefully put up this little clip of Tommy Robinson talking about his latest grift and why he thinks it's important. He doesn't really. Obviously, it's just about making money.
These alliances, different people, and coming together and trying to build a movement across the country, like a movement of people. People feel silenced. People feel
movement.
Yes, this is, of course, we have on the show Mike. Who are you feeling silenced?
Mm.
Yes, I would make the case that
no.
Mike. Well, I was referring to sort of
now. I'm not feeling silenced.
Oh, now that you're yes, but when you were when Tommy Robinson was bothering you, yes, taking part in what he was doing.
I had to shut the fuck up.
Yes, exactly.
No, I had to be. There were several.
Yes.
There were several. Yes, there were several.
Yes.
Several ways. Sessions that meant that I couldn't say what I needed to say.
Yes.
Several security threats. Yes.
Yeah, and not only from Tommy, but from his friends, such as the former kickboxer and another alt-right grifter, Tate Speech, who is quite Andrew Tate, who is just, I don't know how he's still around. Yes, and
Complete
what
lunatic,
I was also going to say, apparently also Tommy Robinson, just bring them up briefly, apparently Tommy Robinson also in the last, it might have been just at the end of February or might have been beginning of March, apologies if I'm getting this wrong, but a load of people were on Tommy Robinson's Telegram, which is like the last of Tommy Robinson's gathering social media, and they were talking about getting refunds because they realized that they'd been ripped off of a whole load of money where Tommy Robinson had charged them for going to various events and then not turned up, and it had been crowdfunded stuff. He'd taken the money and it'd gone, well, I think we can all speculate on where it'd gone. Yes. So this is Tommy Robinson's version of the free speech grift.
Let's say it went to his head.
Together with
Yes.
Carl.
Sorry? Sorry, Mike, what did you say? I'm not sure if...
Who are you waiting for, me or Kev? Together with
Mike,
Carl
I
Benjamin?
asked what you said.
Yes.
Together with Carl Benjamin.
I
Who's
said,
together with Carl Benjamin? Excuse me.
yes.
Oh,
Yes,
the
okay.
coronavirus has got the German
Tommy,
internet. No.
What's the group that he formed with?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if Sargon's involved in this. I don't think he is.
I thought,
Are we still working?
joined with Toby Young.
Everything okay?
Yes,
Hey.
everything is okay at the moment.
Yeah, I
yes.
think Carl joined Toby Young's grift, didn't I?
Oh,
Okay,
Carl joined
this-
Toby Young's grift. Oh, yes, that makes more sense.
I think
okay.
so. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, there's two
And then
free
Russia
speech clubs
Today
going
put out
on.
a thing. Then Russia Today put out a thing standing for
Carl, what's the Hearts of Hope
Yes.
thing?
Brilliant.
Yes, this was my answer that Orion put in the chat. That was my answer to where it'd gone, and I think Kev's answer too.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility.
Yes, so this was Tommy Robinson.
Issues that are going to affect their children and affect our country.
Yes, issues. You'll notice with Tommy Robinson and with all these other free speech grifters, it's always about the idea of having ideas. They never want to discuss their ideas and whether their ideas are actually any good. Like they always want
the
to.
Dave Rubin effect. Yeah.
Yes,
Big
they
high
always.
level ideas without ever
Yeah.
saying what those ideas even are. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They never actually want to discuss whether those ideas are actually any good. Which
Well, this
says
is the
a
thing,
lot.
guys. Yeah, in terms of their supposed support of freedom, if Russia Today, the propaganda outlet of an incredibly authoritarian government which murders journalists and stuff, is supporting you, maybe you've done something wrong.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think that there's possibly something to that. And of course, Tommy Robinson has done a lot of work in Russia recently, hasn't he? Could be wrong.
Do you mean cocaine or work?
I'm not sure that Tommy makes a distinction, does he?
No, I don't think so. That was satire, by the way. That wasn't a claim. Although,
yes.
fuck it, who cares at this point?
Yes. And then we had, on the topic of free speech, we had this beautiful little story from the old friends of the show again, Turning Point UK, who put out this rather charming video. Mike, have you seen this yet?
Not yet, no.
Well, you are truly in for a treat.
Our university campuses and schools are overrun by leftists. Teachers and lecturers are using their positions of influence to preach overtly left-wing political messages.
Like, you know, the idea that Marx exists and studying his theories is probably something that you should do and be aware of. As everyone knows, studying Marx in any capacity is Marxism. Yes, I just thought I'd add that.
This is not okay. At the very least, educators should present both sides of a political argument. At most, they should remain neutral. And what's more, the radical leftist climate on campuses is making conservative students feel scared.
Yes, do we recognize this footage?
Is that when Carl got slapped in the tit?
So, yes, what happened was this. I don't know if you can see my cursor at the moment. You can. Cool. So Carl is sat here. And what happened was they don't show the full footage because this was a group of Antifa protesters who burst in. And I don't. By the way, if you want to catch footage of me condemning Antifa, I'm happy to condemn this lot. I don't think they should have done it. I don't think they should have interrupted this this talk by Carl Benjamin. I don't think their tactics in this case were correct, and I think it was immoral of them to do this. However, on the left, you'll see there's a suited. I believe it's this gentleman. It may not be, so please don't hold me to that. Coming from that direction, however, somebody who was in the audience, i.e., not one of the Antifa members, throws a punch, which starts the violence in this clip. But of course, in all of the reporting based around Turning Point UK and other right-wing groups, it's always quoted as unclear where the violence started. Actually, it's quite clear. And it's interesting that they chose this particular clip before the violence had actually got going to show how violent and nasty and evil Antifa were. Any comments so far? All good. Okay, let's press on.
To voice their opinions. At TPUK, students have sent us so many examples of teachers and lecturers preaching leftist messages to their students. Whether it's a science lecturer comparing cancer cells to Donald Trump, or a
Sorry, that's quite funny. It's you shouldn't be done. But it's quite obviously a joke. Yes, and I think it's trivial. The thing is the reason I think I find it humorous is, I don't find the actual joke humorous. I find Tommy Robinson. I find Turning Point UK's take on it humorous because they seem to think that the main problem is offence to Donald Trump, whereas I see it as more offence to cancer patients. To sort of trivialise cancer in that way. That would be my sort of objection to that. Yes, but I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, no, it's just a joke, isn't it? Look, whatever. Look, the fact that was their go-to first, example, who cares? Assuming it's even true, which I mean, whatever. Turning Point. I don't care. Why is that an issue for you, really?
Yes, exactly. Anything to add, Mike? Nope.
No.
Are you still with us, Mike? Are you
particularly right? No.
Oh, right. Okay. Only Sammy. That's okay. That's okay.
Form teacher sending an email to students encouraging them to vote for anti-Brexit candidates. Enough is enough.
Well, excuse me, but they're allowed to encourage their students to vote for anti-Brexit candidates. That's them exercising their free speech as people on a platform. They are allowed to do that. There's nothing wrong with saying, if I were you, I would vote for this. I would advise you to vote for this candidate, or say, or endorse a candidate. They're free to do that if they want to. They have no obligation to remain utterly neutral when they're talking about elections. And
not just that, it makes sense from an academic point of view because Brexit's going to fuck the Erasmus scheme, which is I'm not going to go into, but it's a really very, very useful and helpful system of exchange for students to go abroad in the EU, which we're going to get fucked over by Brexit. So
yes, absolutely. And also of course, sometimes the truth doesn't take a neutral political stance. Sometimes things are politically, as much as I hate to say the phrase, politically correct or incorrect. And I don't mean that in the sense that they are, what the right wing use when they say politically correct. I mean, there is a literal, no, that's wrong. If you're talking about eugenics, you have to point out, no, it's not a matter of opinion. Eugenics doesn't have any science backing it up. It's not a matter of opinion. It's a debunked political theory. It is nonsense, and should be condemned as nonsense. You don't take a neutral stance on eugenics, unless apparently you are Andrew Sabowski and Dominic Cummings. Yes.
Yeah, that happened as well, didn't it?
Yes.
British government employed a eugenicist, racist piece of trash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, as well as Dominic Cummings, they employed Andrew Sabowski, who is also a eugenicist. Yes, exactly. So, yes, enough is enough, apparently. This is very much enough is enough. And you have to ask, enough of what? Enough of what?
Well, wouldn't you eventually have to step in and do an intervention on Turning Point USA? We should call it enough is enough. Like, you just, come on now.
Yes.
Oh, shit, I'm dropping out. Sorry, I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Mike will be back and joining us.
The Corona police have got him.
Yep, coronavirus has come for him. Let's carry on with the clip then.
Introducing Education Watch, a new blog on the Turning Point UK website where students can submit incidents of educators being overtly political, and we will document these instances for all to see. Students have a right to complain, and they have a right.
I'm sure they'll be entirely honest and put all the right-wing ones as well. Definitely.
Yes.
Because they can be trusted, Turning Point UK.
Yes. I should also like to point out that if you dare so much as suggest free healthcare to these people, they will insist that you are a Stalinist, and yet they want to create lists. They want to create purge lists of people who they want to purge from the university education system.
Yeah, this is not the first time this has happened. Of course, Jordan Peterson, another fucking idiot who claims to love free speech, but then, doesn't either understand it or actually like it. He set up a very similar thing in Canada and was instantly rebuked and eventually had to stop because, it's obviously horrific, authoritarian garbage.
Yep. Yes, it's McCarthyism. It is. Yeah. That's the only way to describe this nonsense. Yes. And here we have this, the Turning Point UK's cheap Poundland version.
Right to demand impartiality from their teachers. If universities and schools won't do it, then we will.
Turning Point UK, all 7 of the young people who support Turning Point UK are going to come and purge the university lecturer education system.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? In America, people might think, oh, God, they've got a Turning Point in the UK. No one here is really that worried because, unlike in America where Charlie Kirk gets retweeted by the president, no one gives a fuck about Turning Point UK here.
Yeah, no one
Literally
cares.
No one gives a because there's 4 of them. Who cares? Like,
there's honestly, as like if you look at their conferences, they've pushed like all the young people to the front, and they've brought up like the four or five young people, Dominic Samuels, and then 3 Americans usually Dominic Samuels, 3 Americans, and the Brexit kid. What was his name? What's he called?
Mohammed.
No. Surprisingly not, Kev.
I know. Yeah. I was surprised too. They're very open.
Yeah. Oh God, I cannot think of him. Darren
Does
Grimes.
It matter?
Darren Grimes. Hey? That's it.
Darren Grimes.
Darren Grimes. They've used a couple of times. Yes, full of it. Yes, Grimes. Thank you for that, Tony. That wasn't actually what I meant to click on, though. I meant to click on that.
But when you say Grimes, you don't mean the guy that's married to your man?
The guy that's married to the man?
No, Grimes. Isn't that the musical artist married to Elon Musk?
I have no idea. I
I
know Frank Grimes.
No, that was my one young people reference.
I've no idea. I'm probably not a young people. I may be 22, but yes. Spy and turn in your teachers to the thought, please, everybody. So that's the basic message from Turning Point UK. We'll watch out the video to give Mike more time to make it back on, and because it's funny.
So if you have an incident of a teacher or lecturer being overtly politically biased, click on the link in the video description to our Education Watch blog and tell us what.
Could you make this look less natural, please? Because I'm finding it like what I want is for her to seem like she's definitely reading from a script, whereas this feels very, very smooth.
Yes, she her stare scares me. I don't know what it is. But yes, I think it might be that she's reading from a script. Sorry?
The kind of stare that says, I've touched a corpse, and what?
Yes, exactly.
Keep me down, those imperialist scum.
Are you okay then, Mike?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm back.
Sorry, you'll have to say that last bit again, because I don't think you were added to the stream when you said something about imperialist scum.
I said, you can't keep me down, you imperialist scum.
Well, we'll give it a good go.
I assumed it was Angela Merkel coming around to say, get that British prick to pronounce my name correctly.
Yes.
I assume she does that. Very hands-on.
Very hands-on indeed.
Happened. We look forward to hearing from you. The fight back begins now.
The fight back. Yeah, these people.
Turning Point who cares? Literally, who gives a fuck? Turning Point UK are amazing. I think it got off to the perfect start when, to launch Turning Point UK, they had Candice Owens over and old Tiny Face. And Owens decided to stand for Hitler.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, that was Turning Point UK's UK
doesn't
launch.
bode well.
Yeah, that's never a good start, really. Yeah. Okay, so I think finally, or rather penultimately, we have BBC Question Time. Now, this was a story that broke earlier in February about this woman who appeared on Question Time and had a little speech to give about how foreigners are to blame for everything, and how enough is enough. We voted Brexit, blah de blah de blah. So basically, what you're about to watch is 1 minute 22 seconds of Daily Mail regurgitation.
Yeah,
but it's quite special.
Interesting what you're saying here. 68 million people now live in England, going up, UN estimate. What days does the panel and people think this country has had enough? That we should close the borders, completely close the borders, because it's got to the stage now there's no education.
There's no education, clearly, quite clearly. Yes.
Well, and again, I made the joke earlier, didn't I, about the Nigel Farage, and this person's the same, it seems. This was before coronavirus became like a big story, or before it like got here officially.
Yes.
And the solution was close the borders. So when your solution to every problem is the same fucking thing, it makes me think you're maybe not analysing the situation with the level of care that I would like.
Yes.
That's okay.
Schooling, infrastructure, it's enough. We are sinking. Sure.
I would just like to draw attention to this
We're
bloke.
sinking. How heavy does she think these foreigners are? We're sinking.
It's the island is sinking into the sea.
It's the government not investing in infrastructure. That's the issue you have.
Yes. Also, I just want to draw attention to this bloke who incredibly is reacting to what the woman next to him is saying. And you can tell this is the face of somebody who is going, oh God, this is being broadcast on TV. And somebody is going to think that this fascist blonde next to me is my wife.
Yeah.
Oh, you can watch his face fall as he realizes what's going on.
It's enough. We are sinking. Surely someone's got to see common sense and say enough is enough. You've got people flooding into this country that cannot speak English. I've come from London. In the National Health Service, everything's written in different languages. How much is that costing?
It's true. It's true. I went in to read a sign in the NHS, and the first sentence was written in Polish. The second sentence was written in German. The next sentence was written in Portuguese. It's just nonsense. Just get outside. Get outside. Most people who come to this country can speak English.
Yeah, and often they speak it a lot better than people like Karen here.
Yes. Yes. Oh, God. Anything to add on this woman at this point, Mike?
No. I think everything that's been said about her has possibly been said. I mean, we've drawn attention to the fact that she's been seen at Tommy Robinson demos, haven't we?
Not yet. However, we will reveal that.
Spoilers. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes. No. It's fine. We will mention it now. But yes, let's.
Can't say no. We haven't mentioned that when he literally did just mention that.
True.
So now we have mentioned it.
Yes, we have mentioned it. I apologise. I don't understand how time works. Time is just a bourgeois construct. It doesn't actually exist.
They can hear what we're saying as well. Yeah.
Who can hear what we're saying?
The audience.
What audience? I thought we were just doing this between us. Right.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yes. So I've frozen it on this image, which is a rather unfortunate freeze frame. Let's move her along before she swallows us.
How much is it costing for the interpreters? Sorry, madam. How much is it costing for the interpreters? I was in hospital last week. The interpreter never turned up for the people who couldn't speak English. She was paid. They all had to go on, and all the radiologists stood around doing nothing. What sort of country is allowing this?
Do you think that's true? I don't think that's true somehow.
No, but even if it is true, your one personal anecdote can fuck off. I don't care.
Especially
the interpreter needed, and name a country on the planet where you don't need some level of interpretation services.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I think I want to make two quick points. First, that her anecdote doesn't have any bearing on the situation when all of the evidence overwhelmingly says that immigrants contribute more to the NHS than they take out in benefits or other services. They contribute more in taxation than they do to. I'll bring you on, Mike. Sorry, than they do in than they contribute in they contribute more to the NHS than they take out in benefit or the overall economy than they take out in benefits and services, and also most of the a large proportion, not most, but a large proportion. I think it's 1 in 10 doctors in the NHS is from another country, or I can't remember if it's from Europe or another country. Somebody in the chat will correct me. But yes, and also I'd like to point out that put this in the context of coronavirus for a moment. Would you want somebody, let's say somebody came here on holiday or something, would you not want to have an interpreter if somebody arrived here from Italy, which they're within their rights to do, and then came down with a flu? Would you really not want them to be able to go into a hospital and get treated / diagnosed and then quarantined?
Yeah, it's almost as if these people haven't thought things through and they just racist reactionary garbage.
Yes, yeah. It's within your interest to look after other people's healthcare, basically. Is everything all right, Mike, by the way?
Yes, everything's fine. Yeah, sorry.
Cool. You dropped out for a second.
Slight German internet problems, but we're all good now.
Cool. Let's go.
What sort of country is allowing this tourism to come in? You arrive in a plane, you get free service, you can have your babies, you can just carry on having it all for free. Why haven't they got points set up?
Go on, Kev.
It's also that she's a liar there, especially within the EU, but for most countries around the world, we have systems at play there. We essentially pass the bill, or at least part of the bill, to the nation from which that person comes. So yes, it's free at the point of use, but the government of that country, which is paid for by the taxation of the person being treated, pay at least part of the bill. So we recoup most of the money from that. So this idea that there's the health tourism is draining it's not. It's a lie. It's a Daily Mail lie.
Yes, the chat is absolutely on fire. This woman sounds like a Karen. She is indeed a Karen. True, strong Karen energy. And also, I have already summoned my manager because of her. As you know, the Karen meme, for any of you who don't know.
Suffering from coronavirus.
Oh, coronavirus. Oh. Now we know why we bring you on, Kev.
That's gold. You can have that for free.
Thank you. Comedic genius. Yes, boosting up the views on my channel. So thanks for that. Right.
Up in the hospitals and you pay like you do in every other country you go to. You wouldn't turn up in.
And as Kev just pointed out, you do. In
America, let's be allowed to go for free.
To go for free, which strangely makes it sound like you're being charged to use a toilet rather than being given healthcare. But yeah, so
and interestingly, even though she's a big fan of Tommy Robinson, as we're about to point out, she also doesn't seem to understand basically what free speech is, because when she was being replied to by Ash Sarkar, who was on the panel that night, she was shouting over her. She was shouting over Ash.
Yes, doesn't understand what free speech is. Indeed, she's not only a Tommy Robinson fan. She's also the husband of a former National Front councillor. Was it a councillor? Somebody who held a position in the National Front is her husband. And yes, so lots of questions arose after this, including this one, which I think is very interesting. So we have this. Is BBC Question Time's audience producer really a fascist? So the ins and outs of this is there's been a lot of questions about this woman, Alison Fuller Pedley. Now, if you want to know who Alison Fuller Pedley is, she's a woman who picks the BBC panel show's audience.
Alison Fuller Pedley?
Yes.
Is this a fucking PG Woodhouse character? What?
I know. And to some degree, probably, yes. They are invariably sort of far-right, reasonably upper class. I mean, we've got Stephen Yaxley Lennon, who could also be a PG Woodhouse character, I think. So this is the Alison Fuller Pedley has taken down her Facebook profile and deleted both Twitter accounts. This article comes to the conclusion that she's a conservative. I disagree. I think she's further right than most people who consider themselves conservative. I think what it is our political system has shifted quite considerably to the right. Yes, critics had good grounds for rage. In September, Pedley had invited the Boston Lincolnshire EDL to apply for the show's audience, drawing complaints from anti-racist campaigners and local MP Matt Warman. And also, people discovered Pedley had shared posts by far-right group Britain First, tweeted supporting Vote Leave and joining the Facebook group British Patriot Front. On Thursday, Bella Caledonia discovered a UKIP councillor claimed to know Pedley and said he persuaded her to bring Question Time to his town. Yes, and yeah, Jack Monroe, who's very, very good, called her a blatant neo-Nazi supporter. And I think this explains a lot about the Question Time audience and the tone of debate on Question Time.
Well, did this person take over reasonably recently? Because I definitely noticed a significant shift to the right on that show within, say, the last year.
I'm not sure exactly when she took over.
Why not? I'll have to look that up with my own.
Yes, perhaps something we could find out. But it's, I mean, the overall tone of the debate has been shifting right anyway. Yes, and yet further damning evidence is not hard to find. The British Patriot Front, which hosts Islamophobic and racist materials riddled with likers of the BNP and EDL. The group's creator posted extreme Islamophobic images to its other admin is an active member of the UK nationalists for our white race and culture. Scrolling back through November, I saw a post on whether to hang or deport Gina Miller or burn 3 traitorous judges who upheld her appeal. A video claiming Muslims threatened to rape children, a clip alleging a Clinton sex ring. Yes, so this is the far-right group that Alison Fuller Pedley is a member of and hasn't left or didn't leave until she deleted her Facebook profile or removed it. Yes, Kev, any luck?
Any luck what, sorry?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were looking it up. I was filling time while you were looking it up.
Oh, no.
But,
off air.
off air. Fair enough.
Rubbish.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, so that's Alison Fuller Pedley. And with that, so we've got all this sort of stuff about how we should platform fascists being platformed on BBC Question Time. You've got CPAC saying that how they're silenced and Marxism is the devil, You've got Graham Linehan going on about transphobia and how the left are threatening free speech, when in reality, with all these free speech people who are convinced that the problem is everybody else, when it is in fact them, yes, they're being allowed to put their views forward. And these things have consequences. And specifically, I'm talking about the consequences in Hanau, which Mike, I'm hoping, is going to tell us about.
Yes. Okay. Back on the 19th of February at about 10 p.m., a 43-year-old man called, I think his name was Tobias Rathian, a man in his 40s, opened fire on a shisha bar in the town of Hanau, which is not that far from Frankfurt in the German state of Hesse. And 9 people were killed in the course of that attack. And later on, he went home and basically killed his mother and killed himself. And that was a really shocking event that has really dominated plenty of headlines in Germany. There have been demonstrations in most major cities about right-wing violence. I was in Munich last week, where I came across a Pegida candidate for mayor doing his thing, and basically there were about 500 counter protesters that turned up in the end. There were basically Hanau and voicing utmost disdain for the Pegida people. Yeah, so it's been a big story over here, and the thing is that Tobias Rathjen wasn't a member of any particular neo-Nazi group or far-right group. He was someone who was he really was the classic sort of lone wolf, or man with issues. But he had been radicalized by a number of right-wing talking heads, both in the German sphere and internationally. So that goes to show that there really is real-life consequences for the grifting game of far-right extremists, in that there are these individuals. I mean, I'm not saying he's a victim in any way. They are vulnerable people who decide that they have to act on it. So, I mean, if this guy hadn't stopped where he was, I mean, there is speculation based on his writings that he would have gone and attacked further places such as synagogues and even the talk of schools and places like that. So completely shocking stuff. And it just goes to show that this really is a significant issue. And that when we sort of talk about wanting these guys stop their constant polemicizing and bigotry, that there are it's to avoid
absolutely
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it was also really telling in the media coverage of this when it started out. Obviously, there'd been a shooting at a shisha bar, and immediately on almost every channel, the speculation was it was organized crime, Turkish gangs, and things like that. It became very apparent very quickly that it was a political killing. Was watching newsreaders and watching TV shows, it was amazing the change in when it was identified to be a political killing. Didn't really care when it seemed like it was just an organized crime thing. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Was there ever a point that they thought it was a Muslim man shooting at
that was the general consensus. That was the general consensus to begin with, that it was some sort of organized crime killing, Muslim, Turkish/Muslim gangs fighting with one another. Shisha bars in Germany are very widespread, very common. They're a place to meet and talk for the Turkish, Yemeni, Palestinian, all those communities. And I mean, they do function in a way as community centres in some regards, but at the same time, certain sections, the tabloid media and the far right do like to push them as these hotbeds of organised crime. And when you sort of think about organised crime in Germany, yeah, sure, there's the drug trade as well, but we're terrorists and stuff like that. So it's the shisha bars are hardly the dens of an that the tabloid media tries to portray them as.
Yes,
so, yeah.
yes. I visited Germany briefly. They're all over the place, and the people in them are really nice. They're like any other German citizen, as far as I can tell.
I mean, they are places. I mean, the thing is, you've got to, and a lot of these places don't serve alcohol. Like, they do not serve alcohol because they are for, people from Turkey and Lebanon and places like that. And there are varying levels of adherence to Islam amongst those migrant communities. So it is a place where you can take your wife, and they can come in. And I mean, one of the victims was a pregnant woman. So it's caused a lot of soul searching over here, as did the killings in Halle last year. And yeah, it's a very it's got a lot of people thinking.
An extraordinary amount of far-right violence. But the police services around the world now take far-right violence, in Western nations, take far-right violence more seriously than any other form of terrorism, as I understand. I don't think there's another form of terrorism at the moment that is currently considered more of a threat than far-right violence. And that's being said by police and intelligence services.
But the thing is that a lot of the fear also comes from the fact that increasingly they are finding pockets of the Bundeswehr, the German Federal Army, that where right-wing extremists are either serving members or they're giving arms to these people, essentially. So that's another real issue in the media at the moment that's got a lot of people thinking, Yeah, and it's not exactly, it's not confined to an area. I mean, it's not like usually when you think of the far right support in Germany, it's in the former East. This is in places like, there are some in the former East, but also in Bayern, in Bavaria, and where I am in Baden-Württemberg, which is, in the southwest, which is really concerning a lot of people. Like, who can we trust? I mean, I've not spent time with a lot of German cops, but I mean, in doing what I do, I've talked to a number of German police, and the vast majority of German police are actually quite, say what you like about the police, but they are opposed to fascists and they are opposed to this kind of thing. But it is concerning to think that there are these pockets of support.
Absolutely, really worrying. And like, I have, I want to be kind of delicate here, but I don't want to condemn the white community, and I have nothing against white people. Some of my best friends are white, but Kevin, you can answer this question for us. Why hasn't the white community come out to condemn these attacks? I have seen nothing by way of condemnation from the white community on this.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I think we need some extreme vetting of the whites.
Yes, let's speak to Sargon of Akkad and ask him why he thinks the white community haven't stepped forward and intervened in these cases
we should investigate. We really need to get a look at inside the places where they meet and they gather, and think about their access to weapons as well. And who's radicalizing? Who are the main players?
Yes, it's the only solution.
We joke about that, but I mean, the amount of support that, say, the Christchurch shooter got from those very people, the likes of Carl or whatever, the thought leaders, Jesus Christ, of the right, the internet, is pretty telling. They were so open to the ideas.
Yep,
it's pretty disgusting.
Yes, and you'll remember that after the Christchurch shooter published his manifesto, several people, I think, was it including Carl? I can't remember whether Carl specifically. Several people said that the manifesto was full of points that they broadly agreed with, and they didn't see any problem with that. Yes, which is troubling to say the least. Because we know how stochastic terrorism works. We talked about it on the show before. Yes, so that is the state of the far right in February 2020. We've got a little bit of catching up to do with March with the next one. So hopefully we will be rejoining you very soon. Thank you to those of you who have come along. Apologies that that this has been on my channel rather than Kev's.
Thank you for taking over hosting duties while my channel's mothballed until May.
Yes. Yeah. What happened was did you get demonetized first and then?
Oh no, I was demonetized ages ago. I've given up caring about that. No, I got strike. I went after. Well, we mentioned him earlier, Graham Linehan, and his fans came after me, and I got 2 quick strikes. So I've just privated everything, mothballed it, and waited for those strikes to run out in May, and hopefully the swarm will have died down by then.
Ah, I see. Okay. In the meantime, I am operating as usual. Yes, and we are obviously available. Available on YouTube and Twitter. You can reach Mike on Twitter at Mike Stuckbury. Kevin is sorry,
with an underscore after it. Yeah.
Oh yes, at Mike underscore Stuckbury. Is it, or is it Mike?
Mike Stuckbury underscore. Anyway.
Oh, Mike Stuckbury underscore. Excuse me. Mike Stuckbury underscore. And Kevin, you are under at Kurt F Logan.
Yes.
I'm under at Cognitive Sock, and Kevin has just launched a new channel. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the channel?
It's
At
history.
the end?
I'm going to do history, and I was
You're
trying to
looking
get the video up today, but
what's the sort of central theme of it? Beyond history.
Oh wow! It'll be a sort of, I suppose, to a degree, a leftist kind of take, but it'll be pretty straightforward history stuff. It's not like I don't know. It's not necessarily class analysis or anything like that. It's going to be pretty straightforward. The first video is going to be the history of Birmingham, which is where I'm from.
Good. Yes, I'm posting the link in the chat now, so you guys can go and check that out. Go see Kev's channel.
As discussed, but you can subscribe in anticipation.
Go subscribe. That is fantastic. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we'll all say goodbye, I believe. So using our standard goodbye, we leave you with the no passaran.
No passaran.
No passaran.
Thank you very much, everybody. We will see you next month.